Kopi Studio. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Kopi Studio. We are obviously the podcast that does and covers a lot of artists, and it is a creative space by creatives. I'm joined today with Kael, also known as Michael Lean, who is a very, very prominent singer, songwriter, and actor in the Malaysian art scene. Kael, Michael, how are you doing today, man?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me at your studio.
No worries, man. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've been wanting to have you on for a while with the previous podcast, so it's nice to just have a one-on-one. Before it would have been like a two-on-two and whatnot. So it's nice to have this intimate space. Nice to have you in this intimate space. And I've got a lot of questions to ask you. But first, for our viewers who might not know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Michael. I'm known as Kael. That's my stage name. Oh, a different persona, per se.
Yes, late night persona.
Yes, I think the mornings has turned into nights. Nights have become morning.
Life of a true artist.
So I sing. I'm a recording artist, actor, and I also have my own business. We do events production and management.
So when you say events production management, can you tell us a little bit more about how that is broken down?
So in an event management skill, when it comes to production, it's not just a one division kind of thing. It embodies a lot of different components. That's per se. And to make an event successful, we will need the sound and lights production, the fabricative and build-up team, there where woodwork comes in, design team, entertainment, artist management, on-ground crew, activation, branding. It entails a lot of different components that makes an event successful. Yeah. So what I do basically is I spearhead the creative direction when it comes to an event, specifically in the realm of entertainment.
Right.
So let's per se, in every event, 80% you would require or you would need entertainment.
Yep.
What's an event without sound, right?
Yes. Unless you're doing like a weird silent disco thing, but that's only going to go so far.
Yeah. So where I come in an event business opportunity is I produce the live entertainment for it. So when I say produce, it's not just work in the studio. Basically, to curate the whole entire entertainment lineup and also the concept of it. So I have to monitor from end to end skill of it.
Right.
What kind of lineup to put, what kind of concept when it comes to sound, the ensemble for it.
Yep.
So it's a mixture of live components. And also a lot of technical areas.
I see.
Yeah.
Would you say that's your main bread and butter out
yes.
of all the creative hats you've mentioned?
Yes.
Fair enough.
It's only because, you see, I've been doing this for almost 15 years now.
Events specifically?
Events.
Okay.
It all started with entertainment first because, music and arts has always been my passion.
Yep.
But at the same time, as a creative, and we all want and we all dream to become an artist.
Yes.
But we got to ensure that we are able to sustain ourselves.
Of course.
To do what we love.
Yep.
Because nothing is free.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Question I have is, can you share with the audience some of the stuff you've done in regards to acting and some of your music?
When it comes to acting, I first started off doing cabaret theater. So we sing and act.
Yep.
A lot of comedic attributes in it as well. So that's where I started. And then from there, I ventured into doing ads and short stories.
Like TVCs,
TVCs.
short stories. Okay, right.
Yeah. And then this was in 2015 to 2018. That's where the YouTube community emerged. And I got very involved with YouTube short stories.
Right.
And from there, I basically, whatever opportunities that they came, I just made myself available for it.
Yep.
And then I landed upon my first role as the lead character in iFlix's first Malaysian original series. It's called Cupid Co.
Okay.
Yeah. And from there, I'm thankful from all these opportunities. It led me to be able to penetrate into the Malay commercial market. I started acting for dramas, TV dramas on Astro
I see.
and also TV3.
Yes. I think you'd also did some stuff for iFlix as well, right?
Yes.
iFlix and some of the other non-Astro affiliated stuff
Yeah.
out there. Can you also tell us a bit about your music career? How that's been like for you? And what have you done in the realm of music? So you released an album, correct? Was it one album, two albums?
I released an EP
An EP, sorry.
that consists of 5 tracks and 2 bonuses tracks. And this EP was in Malay.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and I had one English single that was released. It's called Take Our Time.
Yep.
This is the song that was featured as the original soundtrack for iFlix, Cupid Co. Malaysian first original series. Yeah, now it's being featured on VTV.
Okay. Nice.
So for me in my career, how I started was I was very actively performing live. The live venues,
Yep.
bars, clubs, and then the landscape of the industry just somehow changed, and it's still tremendously changing until
Yes.
today.
Yes.
So back then it was not. It was predominantly a lot of live and on ground events. So as a singer, we have to grab a lot of any available opportunity to just get out there.
Yep.
So from singing in bars, live venues, and sometimes also growing towards producing our own live ticketed shows. And then from there, I explored. I asked myself this: do I want to sing in bars or clubs forever? I mean, it's nothing wrong.
No.
But personally, I thought to myself, I had this vision. I thought to myself that I love singing, and singing will always be my first love.
Yep.
But then, would I want to just settle singing in live venues? Then I told myself, while I'm still young and able, I want to explore into something that will give me an opportunity, or per se, to create a path that will open doors for me.
Okay.
So that's where I started exploring into recordings in studio. And I took the leap of faith to produce my own album and also write my own songs, working and collaborating with different producers on it.
Right. So so you've done events, you've done local TV dramas, been in the acting scene, in the music scene. Which industry is your favorite if you have to pick one to just anchor yourself? It sounds like it's more leaning towards the singing music side. Is that true, or is it something else?
That has been the most difficult question for me to answer all these years. Because I somehow, okay, a lot of people ask me, Mike, why are you doing so many things?
Yep.
Is it singing, acting, or events or entertainment production that you actually really want to delve into? And to be honest, I couldn't answer. I cannot give a straight up answer, because how I function, or how I came, or let me see how I can put my words, how I arrived here today is only because of all these 3 things that I've been doing.
Yep.
Because given a choice, of course, I want, it's my dream to be a singer.
Yep.
You know, and when I was much younger, of course, I wanted to be a rock star. And at the same time, I was figuring out how can I make enough to sustain and provide for myself, at the same time being able to make music.
Yep.
Because music itself may not necessarily make that much money that can fund me or allow me time.
Yep.
Or the opportunity to do other things such as acting, or either events as well. So what I've what I've done was basically I was given the opportunity to produce events as well as becoming an entertainment curator.
Right.
Yeah, from that, I'm really passionate in it because from singing, right, I get my experience, and also it's like a learning space for me to understand better on how stage works.
Mm.
Yeah. So when I use my singing live performing experiences, I'm able to turn it into an experience that I create in my production.
Yep.
So singing, I'm in the forefront,
Mm.
but then when I do events, I go behind the scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you like kind of being on the front lines, but also being on the sidelines, advising, directing, shifting and moving things around as well.
Yeah, I think all these years, I've grown a lot
Mm-hmm.
through all these three things that I've been doing.
Okay.
So of course, if you ask me to answer your question, I love singing the most.
Okay. Yeah, but as a creative, I get it because, people like to peg you as one thing, or it's like, oh, if you had to be one thing. But it's also a hard question to answer because as creatives, we have to not only wear different hats to survive, but we also like different things.
Yes,
You know.
somewhat like Spider-Man.
Mm.
I can't just on a straight path. Sometimes when you are so
I'm going to shoot this way, shoot that way.
just shoot everywhere. After shooting everywhere, then you
It's
got
called
to
a
decide.
creative mess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's where you learn to clean up your mess.
Yes, we all have to clean up after ourselves. What would you say is being in those three circuits, the biggest challenge you've had to face?
The biggest challenge that I have to face is basically learning to brace through the storm.
Okay.
And when I say storm,
Yeah, what do you mean by storm
it's
in this regard?
Yeah, it's basically we go through a journey, a series of adventures. Now, what I'm indicating is, as a creative, I decide, I'm clear that okay, when I want to be a creative, what does creative means
Mm.
personally to me? Because it's very important as an artist. Do I just want to perform? Do I want to produce? Or do I want to curate? Or it can be anything. But for me personally, because I've been doing all these three things, singing, acting, and also producing events, the journey has been, it consists of a lot of highs and lows.
Mm.
So let's per se, if I'm busy writing songs, and then we need time to plan for it, right? Maybe 3 months, 4 months. And sometimes you can't rush the process.
Yep.
Maybe you want to cut a 10 songs album.
Sure.
And maybe you get 6, and then after that, you realize that, okay, I can make do with that 4. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Mm.
But the timing. So we go through these periods of like, you question yourself, okay, is it good enough? Because what I want to put forth out there, it matters so much, that it has to mean something to me. It has to be good. But at the end of the day, when you have finally gone through that process, I believe that we all need a break.
Yep.
If we keep going, we'll run out of
Burns
juice.
out. So would you say the challenge is more the time element or the self-doubt?
It's both.
It's both.
For me, it's self-doubt is categorized under, I think it's all internal factors, right? Sometimes we want to feel like, am I good enough? Is my craft worthy to be put out there at this current moment? There's a lot of thinking going through, internalization. And then time also, it's a huge factor for it.
Yep.
Because through time we learn. But before we really learn, we have to grow. And it takes a lot of time. Yeah. Another factor is also it's also resources.
Yep.
Yeah.
The scarcity of things, right?
Yeah. I mean I'm not born rich, I wish I am, so I have to work my way up in doing whatever that I want to do. Yeah. So
What's something you really want to do? Like after completing and achieving and reaching to where you've gotten to, what's something you would really want to do?
I want to build an empire.
What kind of empire? Like a Genghis Khan empire?
Dun, dun, dun,
Or like your-
dun, 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 dun,
Like
dun.
a Astro 2.0? Like what kind of empire are you talking about?
I think by the time I achieve
Kael.
my dream, it is not 2.0, it's like, 15.0.
50.0, going through so many iterations. Okay. But like when you say empire, is that like a media mogul kind of thing? Or like what is it?
Okay. I'm actually very, very interested and I'm very passionate about management.
Okay.
It's because I studied social science psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Many people said, "Are you psycho?"
It's like that's not what psychology is about.
Yeah, I think people misunderstood, Be like,
Yeah.
"Are you a psychic?"
It's kind of crazy that we live today in psychology. It's still people treat it as like a shrink or like, ooh, what is this mysticism, or conflate it with like you're crazy.
Yeah, I think we are all crazy in
Yes.
our own ways.
Yes.
And we have to be a little cray-cray. I mean, in a positive manner.
Of course.
Without the negatives, we wouldn't know what are the positive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But yes, you were talking about management.
yeah, so I'm very passionate about management. So, it's never in my dream wanting to be famous.
Okay.
Fame was out of the equation. But then I realized along the way, it's also part and parcel of the process. If you put out your music out there, if I act in a drama or a film, somehow people will know you.
Yep.
So it's part and parcel. I would call it like it's a social responsibility because, you are known for your craft. And somehow when people love your craft or they resonate with it, you become a figure. Yeah. So for me, why I've been doing all the things that I've been doing, right? It's also because I wanted to really learn and understand what is it really like being in the industry. Because I thought to myself, if I were to become a real good singer,
Yep.
and then one day if I were to lose my voice, what do I do then? Or let's say I just got bored of it
Yep.
or tired of it, which happens though to a lot of us creatives.
Sure.
And what do I do? So I really wanted to like learn and grow myself to be able to manage. When I say manage, it refers to entertainment, artists, or talent management. Yeah, and I believe that with proper management, our industry will be a good industry to be in.
Is the current industry not a good industry to be in?
Yes and no.
Okay. What is the yes and no?
Okay, as in Malaysian industry, I feel that we are very segregated. Although with this segregation comes a lot of progress too, but at the same time, it's not something that we can rush. What I'm referring to is, you look at the industry, we have a lot of talents in Malaysia.
Yep.
We have tremendously a
That's
lot
why we
of
have this show.
talent. Yes.
because people don't know about these people.
You have artists or even inspiring up and coming artists, creatives, or even social media influencers, content creators, or even like producers who wants to be on the forefront. But I see there's a missing gap in between. It's like from us wanting to put forth our work, our craft, right? How can we actually really get out there?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, these days we have social media. Yeah, everyone is doing it on their own. But what's missing? If we can have a proper management, people, a management is not just a business entity. It is a team or a pool of people that really believes in creative work that can add value to businesses or even the world itself.
Right.
So we need people who understand or like or love music or creative arts enough to be able to say, you know what? There's so many talents out there. I want to be one of them that will put these few talents out there. But the challenge now we are facing is you realize that a lot of people are pushing and putting themselves out there and nobody is going behind.
Okay, so there's no like that extra push and support to really get people out there and really create something of immense value.
Yes, but I also think it's not just about the push or support. I think it's growing. The interest has been is there and it's growing. But I think this lack of exposure or also understanding of what being a good being a good manager is all about, or having a good talent or artist management. You know what he can actually do to the industry or to the pool of talents that we have in Malaysia.
Right.
Yeah, is the exposure.
What do you think is holding that back, in your opinion?
Education.
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 In what
is
sense?
one. Just simply look at our music industry. Okay, we do have music schools. We do have creative arts developmental centers. But how many centers or this entity have a direct association or affiliation or even link to help students? Like once you learn this or once you graduate from this course or this music course, and then what are the pathways that you can actually go
Right.
to? Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it in a negative connotation, but look at this. Like when I was growing up, I realized that there are a lot of parents who send their kids to music school or even to learn arts. Right?
Yeah.
They send them hoping that they will learn something or boost their self-esteem,
Cultivate
and
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we do hear this: music cannot make money one lah. Music cannot make it one lah. So what are you gonna do? Actually, it's not true though.
No.
We
not
can
at all.
actually make money with music or creative arts. That's why we are here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a persevering spirit to it. Yeah.
I think what's important is what we become in the process. It's who we become in the process when we choose to pursue arts. Yeah. So coming back to management or the industry, we just simply do not have enough exposure when it comes to the career pathways.
Right. Like basically the what's next.
Yeah.
After I do this thing, let's say I really love this, the what's next is just not there to a viable career.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's per se, once you graduated with a bachelor's degree,
Sure.
in music, okay, I think at the back of our mind we will know that maybe I can be a producer, maybe I can work behind the scene, maybe I can be a singer. It's just all these little avenues that's available. But when it comes to industry, is our government creating a proper platform
Right.
that creates work or job opportunities for creative arts, people who are pursuing arts. Yeah.
I think it's a very tough time. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities, but I feel that it's also a very tough time to be in the arts because, a lot of industries are already suffering. Just today, I was in a Grab and, this Grab driver, actually not a Grab driver, it was an AirAsia ride. He was telling me the reality of people who drive and just how all these little costs add up, but everyone is so focused on their own issues and problems, which is legitimate, that no one can really think about each other. And, when I take that into consideration of the arts, arts for a lot of people, it's strange because it's considered a luxury, but it's also a necessity because everyone needs to, everyone's scrolling on their phones, everyone's watching something, listening to something. And when you have access to it and it's not taken away from you, because in Malaysia, if we can get stuff for free, and actually this is everywhere, if you can get it for free, you will want to spend as little money as possible. And we are a culture where we will pirate those DVDs if we can, or get it for free if we can.
Yeah.
So the arts is always something, I feel, an industry that suffers first when things are not doing well, or if there is a stagnant economy, or there is a conflict brewing. It's just the first thing to cut because it's not considered a survival element
Yeah.
compared to research, food production, all these different aspects. And, compared to other industries, we're big, but, most people will be working a 9 to 5 job, and those need to be supplemented, B40 jobs and things like that. So I feel like that is something that suffers. And so when you talk about education and pathways, that's probably like the last, in the tally of budgets that people would focus on, which is sad. But yeah.
Art is expensive.
Yeah.
It's because of the process of it.
Yeah.
The creation process, the studio works, the production flow.
Yeah.
And it entails a lot of components because it requires both humanal attributes at the same time, which is the era that we are in now, the digital components of it. And why is it expensive is because there's
creative is very expensive.
Yeah, there's so much that arts or even music could do live. And also there's so much that in terms of digital access or even like programming can contribute so much to music or even arts. I once had a conversation with a friend of mine who is a music teacher, and he told me, he told me, it's okay, not you. But actually, okay, he said this to me. Yes, to pursue art, it costs us something. It's expensive because we need time. We need time and resources. At the same time, if we have those resources, it would be easier or more convenient that we could just maybe take these 6 months, call it a sabbatical break, or like a creative, caving time.
Creative, like you said, sabbatical.
But I've always believed, throughout that phase or period of time where we actually cave ourselves for creative purposes, it's not just to churn out our artistic nature. It's a self-development thingy. We grow.
I think you have to. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. You're going to be coping using unhealthy means to cope and doing some stupid things, for sure.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, for example, if I were to listen again to the tracks that I've actually done years ago, and I would clearly be able to recall how I felt at that time. Of course, we have to feel good at that time releasing it. But if you listen to it again after 10 years, you'll be like, okay, all right. Why? Okay, I remember those experiences. But I think that's something that, we ought to know, because we grew past it. Whether it's an experience, a particular experience that we went through and we put it in a song, whether it was a certain kind of emotion or trauma that we learn to emote or express ourselves through the arts, the work that we do. We need a certain kind of expression, let's say frustration. How do we put it out?
Right.
In our acting. No, okay, I need lesser. Okay. Then you ask the director, so how do you want it? No, this is rage.
Directors are another conversation.
Too much rage. Okay, so
not a good director.
But you know what? As an artist, we have to grow to recognize those little sense of emotion. It's important. So I believe that we are sensitive people.
Do you think, after all this talk, with the lack of education, with the challenges presented to the arts, do you think there's hope for the industry moving forward? Like, are you positive of the industry becoming better, or is it probably going to remain as it is or even stagnate? What are your thoughts on that?
There's always hope. I believe so. But it requires every one of us in the creative industry to really put our foot and move forward. Because it's not like an individualistic movement. It's a community, and it's a community that will grow into a money-making industry, because the industry consists of people and pool of talents.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, to be really positive about this, I believe that how our Malaysian industry can improve is when all the creatives, whether it's artists, singers, actors, or performers, would really sit down and ask those big questions like, okay, how can I really grow my career? Because it's not like we're living in the past where you do one craft, right? You make one, you produce one masterpiece, and it lasts you for years. Yes, it's still like, you know, like it's still something that work these days, but we have to think forward. Like, how do we grow and sustain ourselves? By doing so, we need to connect with other people. We need to collaborate. We need to work together, and we need to build not just a community,
but like bridges.
Build bridges.
I feel I resonate with what you're saying. I also feel that it's important to build bridges with people who are outside the industry, because I think earlier on you were saying education is such an important thing, right? Not just for the pathways that open after you've learned a creative art form, whether it's the violin or music production. But I think we had this conversation outside. People from non-artistic backgrounds, they have no concept of like how an artist, how these like events get made or how this comes together. And it still feels like every time you start a new creative project, at least from what I hear, it starts from ground zero. Do you feel that as well? There's no sort of leveling up of, oh, we've done an event before. I noticed this thing went in, that thing went in. Okay, let's bring it up a notch, because now I've seen it. I can extrapolate the data of this worked well. Let's try this again and do something else. It feels like you're going back to the drawing board, and a client may want X, Y, Z, but then when you break it down, there's just no indicator of what actually is happening and what they want. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with all these big expectations, not just for events, but in the arts, where it's just very vague, but people want results, a certain result? How do you make it work? How do you make that work?
Okay, that is when, again, experience converts into exposure. It matters a lot, because, for example, what I love most about what I'm doing, whether it's singing, acting, or producing or curating an event or live show, it's amazing to find that after a few years putting up your craft at the best that we could, right? And then we are able to like connect with someone who have come across our work, and they themselves have this love or passion with arts. And I think that is that's like love. It's exactly like love at first sight. Like, I love music, but I don't know how to play. And it's okay. But because I know that I love and appreciate music or arts, I tend to appreciate and want to connect with creative people. I think in the industry, it consists of different people who with different educational background.
Yep.
Let's say someone who has a lot of money, or they are in corporate, right? They may not be an artistic person, and it's totally fine. But because they appreciate it, and then let's say I look for you because, Kai, I know that you're singing, right? Or you produce this and that, and I would like to be able to connect with you and also speak with you and discuss with you how we can actually make this particular thing work. I think that is what is required. It's very important. So, like, you see, the challenge is conveying and exchanging all this important information that helps each other understand, like, you're from this world, I'm from this world. How can we actually come?
But I've seen this that you've done. How can I combine what I have or what I need with what you do? And then, but there's always an establishment of like, I like this.
Yeah.
I want to see this work.
it's coming together as one. Because if let's say you are singing in A minor, I'm singing in F sharp, it would also be different. Although we are singing the same song, right?
Sure, yeah.
And if you are going on a 4/4, we're
non-aligned.
going like a different time signature that wouldn't jive. So I think the challenge that we are facing in our industry is. I have to admit it for myself too. As a creative, sometimes, of course, I wear my heart on sleeve. I'm a sensitive person. At the same time, sometimes when we put forth our artwork,
Yeah.
we become very protective of it. We
Yeah.
ought to be. We have to. But at the same time, we become very overly. It's like an obsession, which I would say we must have it. But at the same time, when we guard it so tightly, sometimes we lose sight of what the bigger picture is all about.
Right.
For example, like, okay, I've already produced this song. I want to reach out to the larger audience, and we have what we can do is basically to connect with people from different realms of the industry.
Yep.
Get help, reach out, and pitch them, or I won't say pitch. I don't want to use the word pitch. Inspire.
Right.
Inspire people. Say, hey, I have this thing. How can we actually make it into something that is really of value?
Okay.
Maybe it's not something that's physical or tangible because, music is intangible. But here's what we can do creatively. Maybe for the market, we can do marketing in a creative manner. Maybe storytelling through music, through songs, through our acting, through speech and drama.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that we can do. So I think the missing link is we are not reaching or connecting. Yeah, everyone is becoming very, very
Bubble.
You know.
I think there's a term I was looking at some AI stuff before DeepSeek was released. It was like every castle in their moat, all the moats are basically gone because before it was AI has its own what was it, ChatGPT has its own castle and its own moat, but now that's dissipated. But from what I'm hearing, it's like everyone's kind of entrenched in their own fortifications, a moat.
You said it right though. Everyone wants to jam.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to make a song. You get what I mean? Everybody just want to jam because that's what. Okay, it's just like playing football. Everyone wants to just run around and kick the ball and score goals, but nobody wants to play as a team.
Proper game.
Nobody wants to build a team. You get what I mean?
Right. Yes. Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, that is the thing.
Which really irks me because in Malaysia we were chatting about that as well, Calvin and I. There's no Ministry of Arts. It's arts and tourism. There are no guilds. There's no protection, and
there's arts of ministries.
Yeah,
the art of ministries.
Yes, there's the art of the art of ministries, but the ministries are they are gatekeepers or established artists who promote their own agendas or their perspective, which is perfectly legitimate. But there's no sort of real governing body. There's no society or guild that we can go, we have this issue. I mean, there is one like the vocal guild, but I don't think they can really enforce anything. It's just like more of a guideline and a database. But it's not like we have artists, we have people we can look after. It's more of like, how good is your manager? Because that manager is going to protect you.
Yes, yes.
But we don't have a body to look after the interest, the general interests of creatives and artists here.
Yeah. Hence again, you see,
no one wants to form a team.
I totally agree with you. Hence again, you see, the missing link. We do have a lot of like bodies.
Yes.
Right? And sets, guidelines after guidelines.
Yes.
And we understand what their intention or purpose are all about. But I just feel that we simply don't have enough people who are actually going to manage all this.
Yeah.
So it's managers, talent or artists or creative management. We don't have enough people. So hence why the guidelines are, adding up. And then people that are working, they are really hustling and struggling because we need managers. We need the middle lane. Management is very important because you look at industry in the States or even China, the big countries, the developed countries. I mean, we all know industries is what we make of.
Yes.
We make out of it.
Yes,
right.
but
At the end of the day, we after doing 10 years, you put your if you're going to produce a song like for 20 years, you have 30 songs or 5 albums. You wouldn't want to just just put it out there and not hope for anything. You're gonna die.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
whenever you make something, it's the
yeah.
hope that you get fulfillment and people associate or resonate with what you've created, right? That's the great joy of being a creative and an artist.
Yeah.
That you can really make a difference.
I think when it becomes
that regard.
a real struggle, that's where we all become even more like protective over our ground in terms of work.
Yeah.
But if let's say there is an industry with proper management, I know it's a dream lah, to have I wouldn't say good management is too cliche, a very effective and efficient management and pool of creative managers.
Yeah, no, I think it's super important.
That's where magic happens. Because why? You want to do music? All right, let's get and put your music up on a platform where we will also figure out and also plan on a strategy creatively and also strategically, where your music is going to reach the audience. At the same time, we're going to get support for people to come maybe do ads and do marketing on it, because if you were going to do music for so long, right?
Yeah.
It can really be frustrating if you put out your artwork out there, and no matter how good our work is, but if it's not garnering good response, it can be frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that's where all the self-doubt should become like Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but not the good Doctor Strange, like the Doctor Weird Strange. Sitting there, equations in your head and just staring like, what am I going to do? How do I do it? Yeah.
Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and start shooting everywhere.
Yeah, but like you're like Frodo when he gets turned into the spider web, right? You're just like,
yeah. And the worst is you become Gollum,
precious. Oh God, just like beat a fish, and that's the only thing you can do, right? And eat it raw. That's
what is the song that he sang?
So juicy, sweet.
Spider.
Potatoes. It's my favorite line in the whole film. Potatoes.
I'll probably potato.
Potato, yeah. Potato.
Tomato.
Yeah, I think it's really frustrating because I think from what you're saying, we have the nodes, but there's no network to there's a problem that this is, because the industry, industry can mean many things, but I think there is also a definition of the industry where they're out to make money, and it's totally legitimate.
Yeah.
But the money making aspect, like any other industry, supersedes the well-being of people, the audience, as well as the artists that they are collaborating with, right? And also the not just the artists, but the people behind the scenes and everything. And that's very frustrating because, like you said, you mentioned there's a scarcity. And one thing I've noticed about the industry here is they will undercut and look for the even if you're terrible, if we can pay you less, here you go. And you look decent, here you go. But there's I'm not saying those people don't deserve a chance. Of course they do. But even they are going to get undercut and screwed over.
Yeah.
And that's the sad, frustrating thing, And you said the industry is changing, which, we had a conversation a bit about this, but with the advent of artificial intelligence, what do you think the Malaysian art scene is going to look like when that really kicks off into top gear?
I think we are starting to move forward. As you can see, like even in the commercial industry, there are a lot of artists that are really doing their best with their whether it's song, whether it's their music video production. They are all scaling it up in terms of creative aspects. And even you look at our award shows like Anugerah Juara Lagu.
Yeah.
And
Some
it's
really
all
good stuff.
backed by, musicians who are really great and amazing, So the sound is, it's getting there to a level where, okay, this is what the standard should be lah.
Mm.
Yeah, rather than just like, you just go blindly and just produce something, because it is basically an industry where it can be anything and everything.
Right.
It's just like life itself. At the same time, when anything and everything is possible, that's where we should turn anything and everything into something good lah.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important, not just within the entertainment or even the music or creative arts industry. It's important for any one of us who want to do a business or turn our skill into a money-making machine
Mm.
to have a purpose.
Right.
A purpose, and also everyone can have goals.
Mm.
But, if everyone is striving towards their goal,
Yep.
what will it, how will we end? It's basically everyone is just chasing something, and when they achieve it, it's just there.
I'll come back to the AI thing in a bit because you touched on something important, and something I really want to ask is, how do you, because you talked about management, you've done events, you've done the whole singing bit and whatnot, but how does one successfully monetize their creativity so that they can enjoy life, a standard of life, and at the same time satisfy their artistic needs? How does one go about that?
That's a
Your
very, very
opinion.
good question.
From your perspective, of course.
We can make money in different sources when it comes to arts. One is streaming and selling our songs online lah,
Yep.
and distributing it at the right platform, and then you earn royalty from it.
Yes.
Okay. As an actor, I get paid professionally for my time on set.
Yep.
And of course, you can't put on paper like, how much conceptualization you have made, how much thought, but you get a professional fee as an actor.
Yes.
What's important that I learned from myself in my career, in acting,
Yep.
that I applied into my singing career was to be a great actor or successful actor. It's totally different compared to be a famous actor.
Mm.
Because you can be great at what you do and not be famous. But at the same time, if an actor or talent take into consideration of these two factors,
Yep.
how can I make known to people that, hey, I want you to know my craft. I want you to know what I'm putting forth out there.
Mm.
Why so? Is because I believe that through my experiences, it speaks through my expression. I like to call it the art of expression lah.
Okay.
So how do we make money from it? All this, right? Okay, coming to that point, right? We look at the world that we are living in currently.
Yep.
A lot of things revolve around social media and marketing.
Yep.
So the question is, how do we really justify if, let's say, someone has a huge if someone has a huge following on social media,
Yeah.
but probably has not enough exposure or experience in the particular thing that they are doing.
Yeah.
So how do we actually like measure or quantize, like, you should be paid this amount, you should be paid
Yes.
this amount? It's a very gray, matter
Gray area,
right now.
for sure.
And everyone is trying.
Mm.
Yeah. But coming back to the essence of actually how do we make it work? How am I able to actually make money out of the craft that I'm putting forward? Is we have to access all the available doors.
Mm.
Okay, streaming one side. In order for me to gain enough stream, I have to do marketing.
Mm.
In order for me to do marketing, I need resources. I need support in terms of creative ideas. I need brands to be part of it.
Yep.
And all these are important elements because, like we mentioned about management and also industry, right? It's not just one entity. It's one industry that consists of different bodies coming together, contributing what they are able to put best. to make that particular product work. So, for example, from a song itself, you can make it into a movie through storytelling.
Yep.
And that itself can be an advertisement.
Yes.
And that's where companies or even like investors are interested. Like, oh, I really love your story. I love your music video. Why? Because it's so compelling. But at the same time, right, it doesn't end there. Because the story can influence people through the certain messages.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that there are a lot of avenues that actually we can make money from or profit from. But at the same time, it comes back to management as well. How do we do it? That's the question.
Yeah.
I'm still learning it. How do we do it? How do we do it well that we build a sustainable community and also a money-making industry?
Yeah.
I mean, it cannot just be money.
No.
And also, it cannot just be all creative. Because you have to be in the reality as well.
I think somewhere I read it was a character on an anime show where they're a big producer and all they talk is money because they need to move money around. But without the creative joy, like the creative benchmark, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Even though this person only talks money.
Mhm.
But it's for something. The money is for something higher in that regard, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah. Let's say you mentioned about AI earlier, right?
Yes, I did.
I'm no expert in AI, but
it's it could affect your likelihood is it will and could affect
definitely
your line of work.
I can record something. I can record my voice and sample it into a different soundscape, and I just sound different, totally different.
Yeah.
I can emulate another artist's voice and just produce a song just like that.
Yeah.
So at the same time, you look at what we have in terms of technology, the advancement and emergence of the technology. When it's so accessible, everyone wants to get their hands on it.
Yeah.
And when, let's say, I'm guilty of it too. For example, I know how social media works. So let's do it first. And when I do it, I get there, I feel like, wow, I'm on top of the world.
Yeah.
So we are evaluating people of different interests.
Yes.
And with that different interest, we have different purpose or intention. For example, creative actually just want to be creative.
Yes.
We just want to simply breathe the air of music, sound, and visual and all that. But they never really thought about how should I actually sell my work. How should I get out there? That is maybe the second phase or what. And then we have another group of people with certain set of skills or expertise. Maybe they are the ones that know how to, invest in money and all that.
Yep.
So I'll give you a scenario. If people who have a lot of resources, right, and they're able and capable to actually do anything they want because they have money, all right? So let's say someone who has a lot of money, if their intention and dream is to be famous for whatever reason, maybe it's to boost their business, it's marketing or it's branding, whatever reason, it can be anything. And one day they just say that, I want to be an artist. Okay. Of course, it's easier for them. You know why? Because they have the resources to pay producers to just make songs. But at the same time, do they have the depth of creativity?
Right.
Do they have the depth of personal well-being? Do they have a story to tell? At the same time, let's contrast it with creatives. Creatives struggle to actually really put forth their work because after a few years or after a amount of time, right, producing your work, hence why it's timing factor as well.
Yeah.
You need resources to go out there. But at the same time, if you think too much about money as well, you won't be able to have that focus to produce something really creative.
Yeah, and you can see it, you can feel it.
Yeah.
When you consume the product.
Yeah. But I think it's also a growth. Like for me personally, I've learned a lot throughout my years in my career path as well, from singing, acting, and events, right? So I sort of juggle it. And if I learn something from events production or a live entertainment production, I sort of channel these lessons or tuition fee, we call it, into my acting and also singing.
Right.
So there's a saying that goes that your best work is your last gig.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The best thing is the last thing you did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you will
Understandable.
start thinking about it. Okay, how can I improve from there?
It's like if you can apply it to sports, like, your last performance was everything you are measured to now. Right.
Yeah.
But I want to bring you back to another question. You mentioned it, depth of creativity. How does one acquire a depth of creativity? Can it be acquired? Is it possible?
To answer that question, let's look at this analogy. If I want an answer from anything that I'm sort of like, wanting to discover,
Yeah.
what do? We first ask the question first.
Yes.
So the creative depth doesn't come instantly. For some people, it's a discipline, which, throughout the years, I struggle too. Some people say that, you just don't have to feel, you just think and just do it. Sometimes it works.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it does not.
No. Fair enough.
And then you put forth your work and you close your eyes. Oh, nah.
Fair enough. I think what you said makes sense. Yeah.
And, it's like, okay, of course, practice makes things perfect. But we have to ask ourselves enough of those questions. Like, I want an answer. And what should I ask? Within ourselves. And also, if I want to know, get answers, I need to know enough of these things. So it's like, it's like digging deeper.
So it's like
deeper.
asking things like the why.
Yeah, the why, the what,
Of
the how.
Yeah, the what, the how of whatever problem there is.
Yeah. So it is possible.
Within yourself or externally. So
Yes.
it is possible.
It is
in your
possible. It takes time.
opinion.
It takes commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe having passion is very important. Of course, throughout the season, our feel or drive,
Yeah.
it can go up and down, But it's important for us to know why we are doing it in the first place and what we really want to get out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, because we do go through certain periods of time where, hey, I want to get into this creative season.
Yep.
So what do you want to get out of it? Let's say, okay, I haven't really thought about it, but maybe I should just go into it first.
Yeah.
That also could be the way because you are in an explorative phase of life. Yeah, but once you got there, we need to quickly to be able to identify or define it. Like, okay, where do I want to take these next? So it's a process, and there's no straight answer to A to Z. This is how you go. 1 + 1 = 2. Yes, they are formulas, but in order for us to achieve that, it's a practice. It's
Right.
it's a process. It's a whole developmental process. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a little bit of a thought experiment, right? In the realm of creativity, whether it's film and music, singing, songwriting, whatever, the theme and topic of love is ubiquitous. It's everywhere, right? There are billions of love songs. Films, movies are either, they incorporate romance or are about romance to some degree, portraying this massive theme of love with so many perspectives. How can we portray it and how can we articulate it in a sense the best way possible?
Yeah. I think the world at large has somewhat distorted the meaning or the meaning of love and also how love looks like, in the context, in the creative context. Yeah. It's like, for example, love is a many magnificent thing. But how many of us really think, so what makes things magnificent? And how does magnificent feels or look like? And that's very subjective, right? Based on every culture. And I really like what you ask because it's so in-depth. to answer your question, how particularly the Malaysian industry, or let's per se, the content that we produce
Yeah.
up on dramas, TV dramas.
Yes.
I think we first got to understand like predominantly what are those the dramas, right? Who is it for, and in what language or what culture that they are trying to
Delivering it in.
resonate it, try to attract at the same time, because I do get a lot of offers to play antagonist roles. Also, I mean, at the same time, I would be honest to confess that I would love to be a lover boy, because I sing love songs, but then when I act as a bad.
Yeah.
It's always an asshole. Yeah, but okay, this is what I learned through my discovery and also like my acting career. A lot of the actings are basically it's trying to bring out the high side of what's the worst could happen, and also it's on TV, and sometimes in terms of production, if things get really really in depth, because creative scenes that require a lot of introspective effort in understanding it, it takes time. It's like, let's per se, we look at the movie The Godfather.
Sure.
Brilliant, right? And they take their time to really act those scenes out. It's brilliant, it's amazing. But at the same time, if 10 people in a particular drama series, they do that, it's going to be a hell long of a series. So sometimes it's more of like, balancing between the technical side and also, all right, I have this amount of time for my scenes or my cut. I want to convey the worst out of it because there's so many characters there. And if everyone wants to play hero and everyone wants to depict the message of love, then it wouldn't work as well. So that's why, like in my experience in drama settings, if you want to play angry, sometimes at speed we express ourselves, in this. But I also do realize, in terms of the language itself, bahasa, there's limited vocabulary or words, choices of words. So it's more in terms of expressing it through the intonation. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I could be wrong, but it is what I believe.
No, I mean, it's your experience.
Yeah,
Right?
and you look at like how the Spanish telenovela
Yeah,
are like,
yeah.
Espectacular, this kind of thing.
It's just
Oh,
like-
this is what I say.
Bombardment of like
Yeah.
machine gun
Yeah.
words.
Mamacita. And I asked my friend from Spain, I said, do Spanish people really talk like that? And he said, actually, no. Sometimes you're in a rush, you speak like this, but maybe because it's dramatized.
Right.
It's called drama.
It's
right?
a language of its own.
Yeah, so that people get like, okay. So and some people, I believe that predominantly Spanish they speak in a tone or melody that's quite fast. But also the Malay language as well, bahasa. It's so you can convey it in a polite or in a peaceful manner, but at the same time, within that drama, you want to portray these feeling. So how do you ingest it? How do you express it? So coming back to that example that you brought forth, right? Of course, I think it takes like the production and also the actors and script writers to come together to weave all these important
It's a lot
aspects.
of work to
There's a lot of work.
really sell the
Correct.
idea.
Yeah, and I've acted once in a 100-episode series, and it took us 1 year, and it was an astro drama.
Wow.
Can you imagine? By the 6th month, I was so exhausted. I couldn't even figure like, what else can I do for my character? You get what I mean?
Yeah. You just like, it's like, same way like being in a musical, and it's like you've been in the same musical playing the same role for 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, what else can I do?
So you just probably pan here, pan left, pan right, play with your eyes a bit, and here. And after 6 months, you're like, I've been doing everything. But I think that's what, if you are on the fixture actively,
Mm.
Sometimes being overly in depth or too method,
Mm.
it can affect our health too.
Oh, of course.
Because it's heavy. It's really heavy.
And set life is very unhealthy for
Yeah,
a long period
yeah.
of time. I don't know how production crew do it.
But I also understand, like, from the question you brought forth, right? Maybe, for example, we call it an evidence law.
Sure.
You see, like, a lot of dramas, how they act is at speed, right? Bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam, bam, bam,
Yeah,
bam,
it's
bam.
like go.
Yeah, go. So the time for reaction to emote the expression is not there. I mean, there are some great actors that actually are able to do it, and it takes not just the actor itself, the director, the production, the scriptwriter.
Yeah, the music that will
Yeah, the music,
back it all up.
the essence. Of course, I believe in Malaysia we have a lot of room for improvement, including myself. It's a journey filled with adventures,
Sure.
exhilarating adventures,
Mm.
and it's a learning curve. To understand, like, maybe if these 3 past dramas that I've done, I've always asked myself, like, how can I improve? How can I improve? How can I improve?
Mm.
And learning and improvement will never end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, what's next? How do we? And I find that by doing more, that's where also we become better.
Yeah.
At the same time, coming back to love, the subject of love. So how do we become a real good lover? It's to love more, to keep loving, right?
That's such
So
a
if
Kael
let's say, like,
response.
how can we get better at sex? Keep fucking more lah.
Is that true though? Because I don't know. Like I just feel like just because you've done it a lot doesn't mean, like, for example,
Done what lot?
a more appropriate example, like I could write a song every day, but it doesn't guarantee that I will write a hit song or a song that resonates with a lot of people. I may be good at writing it fast. I may become efficient at it, but does it make me good? Maybe. But is there a guarantee? Just because you do something more, does it make you better? I don't know.
If sex is amazing, do you have it every day? And
Exactly.
have you ever thought
Is it
about
the quality or the quantity?
Yes,
that's
correct,
why that question comes
right?
up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're allowed to say it.
Oh yeah, of
Be
course.
open,
This-
right?
This is
Yeah.
definitely going on.
That red tape. Yeah. Think about it. And I mean, if you have real in-depth intimacy with your loved ones,
Mm.
or even a real good connection with a fellow friend,
Mm.
do you need to meet every day?
No.
Sometimes yes, because you want to see each other.
Sometimes yes.
Sometimes you want to
Fair
spend time. You want to connect. For me, how I see it is, it's exactly like music. Sometimes we sing so often, we feel like, oh, I'm singing so good, and then the next 3 months after the third month, I don't feel like singing.
Mm.
I've actually felt that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you call it depression, lah.
Yes. the mood and it's like this ethereal term we call phases, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think what's amazing is if we have gone through a full cycle experiencing all these highs and lows,
Mm.
whether it's in the matter of art, music, love, relationship, life itself, it's a practice.
Mm.
With the switch.
Mm.
Some things, our mind, it's like our mind travels faster than our heart. Sometimes our heart travels faster than the mind, so we need to come in between.
Mm.
And it takes time.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Fair enough. As an artist, what is your most controversial opinion
Regarding to what?
regarding to the industry, regarding to the craft, regarding to approach, and maybe goes against the grain of other people in your industry?
I need coffee to be able to answer that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Give me a-
We can, no, oh yeah, sure. Have a sip. We can always edit this out.
Don't edit this out.
Don't edit it because I need caffeine.
Mm.
That's a real good question. Like, where do you get that from?
I don't know. Just pull it out of my ass.
It must be black. Like my coffee.
Sure. Michael Lean, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a comedian. I just like to blur up things.
You just Mike. You just Kael.
Okay.
Mm. Yeah, I'm curious.
What's the question again?
What's your most controversial opinion that goes against the grain within the realm of the arts industry? Or that a lot of people might not share with you, you think?
Okay. It's something that is provocative, but it's something that is very personal for me. I think a lot of artists or creative people who have spent enough amount of time investing and committing themselves into their work, they would be able to resonate with this. A lot of people, when it comes to being an artist, they have their own purpose or even goals, whether it's to make money, to be famous, or maybe to sort of like be the next, the biggest marketeer, or it's for branding. For whatever reason, a lot of people ask me personally, like, so why do you want to do all this? For me personally, is I come from a place where I do want to channel my life experiences, which can be very, very emotional.
Okay.
And I'm aware that it's okay to go through all those things and to emote myself through my artwork, because I'm thankful that I'm able to express myself by singing, by acting, and curating live performances, because it's a tool for me. I understand that to some people, they might really separate things, like, oh, work is work, passion is passion.
Right. Okay. So don't use personal experiences.
Yes, but at the same time,
Interesting.
sometimes when we are so passionate about something, we sure will be very personal towards it, because those are the things that we hold on dearly to it, and that's what we do best, right? So how can we really like separate ourselves, because we are not robots?
Yeah.
We are not coded in that way. So I know something that's very controversial is people say that you're too emotional.
Interesting.
So if you have no emotion, how are you going to emote yourself?
So, sorry, how much percentage of emotion should I reduce from that?
I have zero.
Can you tweak your smile? Just like reduce it by 5%. Okay, that's it. Yeah. I've encountered those experiences as well. It's very interesting to be like,
But you get what I mean, right?
what do you mean? Okay. Yeah, I guess people have all sorts of ideas. Okay, so I didn't realize that was a controversial thing.
It's not. I won't say it's controversial, but to some people, it can sort of like turn them off, or it's a little bit too sensitive.
I see.
So because some people like, just sing, don't talk, don't tell your story. But what if you have a story to tell that nobody believes that you should tell the story, but you feel so compelled to tell the story? That is where magic happens.
Out of 10 times, how many times does that happen on average throughout your entire experience?
9 over 10.
9 out of 10 times?
Yeah, and you take that 1% of chance just to really move and step forward.
9 times out of 10, they'll say it's too much, or can you separate, or can you not bring too much emotion? That's
some people just can't handle it. But you know what I learned throughout these experiences? It's when you yourself know that 1% of chance, right, is worth it. Of course, we'll be going back and forth thinking about those things, internalizing, rationalizing it. When you have done so, you know that this is it, you should go forward, then go forward. Because some people will be thinking, should I put out that stuff? And then after the 20 years, we don't put out the stuff. But some people will be like, don't think, just let it out. Just, again, there's no right or wrong. It's a personal choice, But you know what? For some people, they're so afraid to be sensitive. They're so afraid to express or even tell their stories.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, last question. What's the worst line you've ever had to say in front of a camera?
The worst line.
What's the worst
you
line?
mean dialogue?
Dialogue in a show. In a drama.
Oh, okay.
Or worst lyric. I'll give you the option.
Yeah.
And can you recreate that moment for us?
Okay. All right. I once had to do an audition for a singing competition.
Okay.
At the same time, they were shooting like content for it.
Okay.
So, like
Oh,
for
okay.
example, because the panel of judges are all talents and singers as well.
Yeah.
So most of the talents that come for audition, they were singing in Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was speaking in Chinese.
Mhm.
Hi, 你好,你要唱什么歌啊? So I
Speaks
got
Chinese and Malay and
Yeah.
English. She's like performs in them fluently.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I asked, most of the people who come for audition, what song you want to sing? Because I was speaking in Chinese, there's a lot of S and H in it. So I ended up finally there was an Indian girl who walked into the audition, right? Hi, how are you? What song you want to sing?
And they recorded that.
Yeah, they recorded that.
What are you doing? Chinese Sean Connery. Like, what
Yeah.
song you want to sing?
I want a song to sing.
I guess everyone like just.
Yeah. I think also
Nice.
there were like a few instances when I had to act out my scenes in Bahasa Melayu.
Yep.
Sometimes because I speak three different languages, Chinese, English, and
kinda like
Malay, right? So, it's really tiring. So I really respect those who can just switch.
Code switch,
immediately.
yeah.
Like for me, if let's say I'm required to actually speak Bahasa Melayu in like the daily encounter style.
Uh-huh.
Like, kau makan apa? Kau buat apa sekarang? Tak ada lah. So aku busy lah. Then okay. But if you want to really emote yourself in your character, like immerse in your character
Yeah.
based on the script,
Yeah.
sometimes after speaking two languages and I just switch, aku sekarang ni rasa marah.
Like a broken record.
So yeah.
Okay.
It's just like you've been playing jazz all the while.
Oh,
Suddenly
yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta pop it. You
Like,
really pop.
You do like a whole set of jazz, and then you have to do one country R&B song, and you're just like,
Yeah, I've been popping all my life. Don't ask me to jazz it, and that kind of thing. Or I've been rocking it, and suddenly I have to make it.
Dude, code switching genres is
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of people think that, hey, you're so good in different languages. You have no idea. I fumble a lot of times.
It's only being human.
Yeah. So Kai, what song you want to sing?
I don't know, man.
I probably sing you a song.
Certainly another time, maybe, my friend. Oh, man, dude, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your perspective of really being on the forefront of being a performer, but also being on a level where you are overseeing so many layers to something, especially in the realm of events, and just sharing your experiences, sharing your challenges, sharing your funny stories, and me throwing a whole bunch of questions at you and trying to articulate what I'm trying to say. So thank you for your patience and for willing to engage in this dialogue. Really, really appreciate having you here.
Thank you too. I really appreciate
My brain
you.
just farted.
Yeah, because a lot of deep questions, but I think it's a great session overall because sometimes podcasts, even chit chats, can become so what do you call it? What is that word? Interviewish.
Oh yeah.
But to have real conversation sometimes, it's
Didn't use a phone. Didn't use a prompt.
Yeah. Let me Google it. I have a prompter here.
Yeah.
But it's real because
No,
it's
definitely.
tough to proof off certain things. Yeah, but still, thank you so much for having me.
No, man, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
No worries. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining Kael, aka Michael Lean, and myself as he explores and shares his journey through the acting, singing, and events industries and having to wear all those many different hats. You can check out more of our videos on YouTube and Spotify, as well as our other content available there. And you can follow our shorts on Instagram and TikTok. That's Kopi Studios, Koepii Studio. See you next time. In the meantime, have a Kopi. Ciao.
Go be